Hey guys, Cam here from Pocket-lint, and when it comes to choosing the best phone for you, it doesn't always come down to just hardware and performance. A big part of it is budget. So we decided we'd compare the best mid-priced phone out there with what many regard as one of the best phones available to buy. Now the days of cheap, plastic, nasty Android phones are gone. OnePlus's latest phone is built from a solid piece of aluminium, which has the traditional anodized finish and a curved back to make it sit comfortably in the hand. The iPhone 7 Plus uses similar materials but in a different way. Apple went with a completely flat back and rounded edges, and with the jet black model coated it in a fancy glossy paint, which feels great but scratches easily and attracts fingerprints. Despite them both having the same size 5.5-inch screen, the slimmer bezel and the rounded back on the OnePlus ensure that it feels much more ergonomic, and it feels smaller in the hand. The iPhone, however, is IP67 rated water and dust resistant, and will likely fare better if you happen to drop it in a puddle. As for displays, they may both have the same 1080p resolution, but the experience is different on both. OnePlus's AMOLED panel is very vibrant, full of saturated colours and inky blacks. Contrast is pretty decent on the iPhone too, and being a quality LCD panel, the whites are cleaner, and colours are a little bit more natural. But whichever of those you prefer is really down to you, but the vibrant colours certainly make a statement on the OnePlus. It's a similar story with the camera. On the whole, the iPhone seems to take better pictures more easily and consistently, but they can both take sharp natural images, and both of them have optical image stabilization to stop any blur from creeping in. In fact, in a lot of our side-to-side shots, there's very little difference at all. Sometimes the OnePlus's 16-megapixel camera slightly overexposes the shot, but at times the iPhone's automatic white balance gets it wrong too. The iPhone does have a very useful 2x optical zoom feature, however, and that helps you zoom in on subjects without losing any detail. Switching to performance, and there's not a huge amount to separate them here either. Loading similar apps and games most of the time resulted in the iPhone loading them slightly quicker. That's thanks to the new A10 Fusion chip, but saying that, the Snapdragon 821 processor in the 3T is no slouch. Zipping around the interface and between apps is very quick and responsive. And battery life is another key area in any phone, and the two match each other fairly evenly here too. On most days with both phones, we'd get to the end of the day with between 30 and 40% left after moderate use. The big upside for the OnePlus, however, is dash charge. It can fill up the battery from 0 to 70% in half an hour. Now we could argue about software, but both have their benefits. iOS 10 has its Today view on the side, similar to OnePlus's Shelf, and the latest version of Oxygen OS running on Android Marshmallow lets you easily customize the look of the phone, whereas iOS 10 has always been a bit restrictive in that regard. There's still a better selection of quality independent apps on iOS, and there's those quick launch functions you get from force pressing the screen. But Oxygen OS lets you lock individual apps with your fingerprint so that no one else can access them. In the end, it comes down to the same old story. If you want an iPhone, you have to pay good money for it. But if you want a phone that's practically as good, but spend much less money, the OnePlus 3T has no major compromises. It's one of the best Android phones on the market right now. It just happens to be cheap as well. The two devices we tested are the 128GB models, and those are about £400 apart in price. They're definitely not £400 apart in performance and overall experience though. I've been Cam, I'm at Cam Bunton on Twitter, and I will see you again soon.